final checkered flag of the NASCAR season waved Sunday night in South Florida. Jimmy Johnson put the finishing touches on a historic season by hoisting the championship trophy for a third consecutive time.
I don't know what to expect. I'm hoping that I can come over here and be competitive.
It's going to take a little bit for it to sink in, but just to think of what this team's accomplished the year that we've had, to be the champion, it's everything I've ever wanted to be. It's been a long, long time since I won a championship.
You guys are awesome. Thank you, boys. We're going to tear it up tonight. Rock and roll, buddy.
Hopefully we come back next year and can do it again.
Jimmy Johnson makes history.
Way to go, guys. Damn, that's awesome. I'm proud of you guys. Awesome, awesome year, boys.
Jimmy Johnson is now just the 8th driver to win 3 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championships or more, and joining such legends as Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, and Cale Yarborough in that exclusive club. In the sport's modern era since 1972, only 3 men have won more than Johnson. The champion joins our roundtable panel as we wrap up the season next on NASCAR Now. Welcome to the final Monday Roundtable edition of NASCAR Now for 2008. I am Alan Bestwick. For the next hour, we wrap up not only the season's final race, but the season in general and look ahead to 2009 with our Champions Row, Ray Evernham, Rusty Wallace, and our special guest panelist for the day, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion, Jimmy Johnson. It's the Monday after a Sunday championship clinch. How you doing?
I'm okay. I'm running on fumes like Carl Edwards was last night in that race. I'm out of gas. It's time to go to bed. And it's
I'm
only
looking
5
at you
o'clock.
right now. I mean, there's no redness in your eyes, nothing. You've had 1 hour of sleep, right? That's about it.
1 hour of sleep, ice packs, Visine, lots of energy drinks.
No, and I'll tell you, it's amazing, and I, along with everybody else, really appreciate you being here.
Would miss it. Thanks for having me on.
It's a really cool thing. Let's start with how the final race of the season unfolded on Sunday at the Homestead Miami Speedway and how Jimmy wrapped up this championship. Jimmy starting back in 30th while Carl Edwards was starting 4th, hoping to somehow take the title away. And Tony Stewart, thanking his Joe Gibbs Racing teammates as he makes his final drive. And then it was off and running for that trophy. Carl was doing his job early. Little bonus points here.
Yeah, he went on past the 17, went on to lead the most laps and run good all day.
And this accident at lap 178 set up a sequence of pit stops that got Jimmy track position. You'd moved up during the early part of the race, but this got you all the way to the front. First, the 4-tire stop here when nobody else pitted, and then a strategy call about 20 laps later.
Yeah, I missed a call earlier. Chad wanted me to come to pit road a stop or 2 before that, and then got us in this position, and it still worked out for us when we got track position at the end.
So 2 tires puts Jimmy out first. Bonus points matched. Thank you very much. Matt Kenseth running behind Jimmy for the restart. Matt went by and moved out to a pretty healthy lead and looked like he was in pretty good shape to try and win the race.
Just for the record, they wanted to go much faster than I did at that point.
Yeah.
Matt really wanted to lead that race.
I'll bet they did. A little safety stop here for some gasoline with just over 20 laps to go. And then we got down to the real fuel drama in the final laps. Kenseth runs dry with 4 to go.
Unbelievable. We thought we was going to make it, and 4 laps go out of fuel, and then his teammate Carl Edwards crosses the line, out of gas, coasting, motor not running. It's pretty dramatic how much gas he saved.
For Jimmy Johnson, he finishes 15th. Edwards does the victory flip, and Jimmy does his own version of the victory flip or dive or something like that as he celebrated a 3rd consecutive championship with the Hendrick Motorsports team. Johnson, the champion, 2008.
This team's just great. You know, Jimmy's a fantastic driver. Mr. Hendrick's just a great person to work for. All 500 people we've got at Hendrick Motorsports, from the engine shop to the chassis shop, aviation, you know, travel, everybody. I mean, just do such an incredible job and put all their hearts and souls into what we do to try to make these race cars go fast. And, you know, my guys just do a fantastic job on the race car, and it's what we work for. This is what we do. You know, we don't want to do anything but race cars and win races and win championships, and I'm just real lucky to be able to do that.
I didn't even go down to the 48 box. I stayed on the 24 box. I didn't want to go down there. I thought it was just so nervous waiting for the end of this race, and we're just it's hard to believe these guys have tied Cale's record, and hopefully we can come back and go for 4.
This season to me is the most impressive one that they've had, and it's about people, you know, and they've got it. They've got an incredible group of guys, not to mention the resources at Hendrick Motorsports, and they make the most of it. And I don't think they get enough credit for that, to be honest with you. I think everybody just thinks they got the best stuff, and it's not that we got the best stuff. Junior's got the best stuff. Casey got the best stuff. Those guys are a great team.
Well, Jimmy's 3 championships have all come with Chad Knaus as crew chief, making Chad the first crew chief to win 3 straight titles. And the Johnson-Knaus combo, just the 5th to win 3 championships together. By the way, one of those previous groups to win 3 championships together, Jeff Gordon and Ray Evernham. Let's pick apart a few things from the race, Jimmy. You started 30th. Naturally, we were tracking you carefully. You were running 18th at lap 45, cracked the top 10 at lap 113, then kind of hung there. And I'm sure you were watching with great interest a lot of the exciting racing going on around you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we got up there and like I mentioned earlier, we got into a spot where I missed an opportunity to get to pit road, and it would have worked out well for us. The 24 made it to pit road and led for a bunch after that. And when we were coming down into the pits, I looked up in the mirror and I saw a bunch of cars staying out, and I thought they were lead lap cars, I should say, and they were lap down cars. So I pulled back out and called off the pit stop, and it bit us. So we went back into the traffic again and had to fight our way through.
Jimmy, one thing that was really making me nervous for you was watching you get through that lap traffic, running 3 wide in the middle of 3 and 4 many times now. And some of the guys on the outside, you were bouncing off the wall. I was concerned going to bounce back into you, things like that. Was it a struggle all day long with the lap traffic?
At certain points, and there were a few cars that just seemed to have that magnet for running 3 wide and forced the issue. You know, it made it interesting at times, and I'm sitting there wondering, why are we doing this?
How was your temper?
My temper got out of control a couple times. You know, with those pressure pack situations, I probably should have hit the button a few times and keyed the radio because I got angry a few times.
You know, watching that race, we'd have never guessed that you said, hey, we made a mistake by not coming. To me, it still looked like I saw a flawless race. No mistakes all day by the 48 crew.
You know, we wanted track position, as you know, so that on restarts and clean air, we could be in a position where we can control the race or control our destiny and find a nice, comfortable spot to ride in. But when I missed that opportunity, the next 2 or 3 runs, we had to restart back in the teens and fight through some of that stuff where ideally being up front would have worked out. We got a couple short runs in there, and we were able to take 2 and finally get the track position late in the race and bring it home from there.
No mistakes, no scratches on that thing that I could see.
No scratches on it. I tried to stay away from everybody.
Yeah, especially at the end there when Matt Kenseth did pass you, you dropped back, looked like you found a comfortable place to ride. Edwards came up on you. You were willing to say, yeah, go ahead, go on.
Yeah, I found myself chasing the 11, and I was making up a little ground on him, and I'm sliding the car to catch him. I'm like, why are you doing this? And at the same time, I see the 99 coming. I'm like, what? Just stop. Just move over, let those guys go, and then just ride in that nice, comfortable hole.
You know, generally when a race starts, you hear drivers talk about, my car's loose, or it's tight, or I can't get it to do this, do that. I didn't hear any of that out of you. It sounded like it was more strategy and lap traffic. You must have had a pretty good handling car.
Yeah, we had a great race car. That's the thing that I was really happy with on Saturday afternoon. When we left the garage area, we knew we had a car that I could go out there and run comfortable in. And I think that 06 and 07 taught me something about my nerves and how comfortable I needed that car, because as you know, every sound, every time the car slipped a tire, you're just so worried about what could go wrong that we worked real hard on Saturday to get me a car that I was comfortable in. Slept well Saturday night and rolled on from there.
You know what got my attention the most on Sunday about your race? When you did the burnout into the stage area where we're standing there waiting for the trophy presentation, and here comes Jimmy literally sideways on the car, and there's an official standing there going, no, 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 and Jimmy's just looking right at him going, watch this, see how good a control I've got of this car. Let me talk about Carl Edwards for just a minute. He got to the front early. He led 157 of the 267 laps. Obviously, he had a strong car. He asked where you were at. Did you ask where he was?
I knew where he was. Every time I came down the front straightaway and looked at the pylon, his number was at the top. So it was very easy to know where they were. And, you know, those guys have done an amazing job. Those guys really have stepped up and matured as a group. And they're going to be tough to deal with the next few years.
You know, one thing I noticed throughout the race, we kept watching how many cars were still in the race and how many cars were on the lead lap. And Alan and Ray and Brad and I were saying, man, there's nobody falling out of this race. This guy can't breathe at all. He can't say, hey, there's 5 of them out, we're locked in, we're good to go. That didn't happen the whole race.
Yeah, and all the green flag runs that we had. And it was just a stressful event where you had to stay on top of, laying down laps and pitting at the right time. It wasn't an easy race, and Carl and those guys did the best job they could to control it and try to put cars down a lap and hopefully catch us with that poor starting position we had.
The post-race moment there where Carl came up to your window, what did he say to you?
I wish I could have heard. I watched his mouth move and he was talking, but the engine was running, and at that time I was getting instructions from John Darby on where to go and what was going on, and I could see him saying things, but I couldn't hear a word.
I think he said, try this backflip there, bud.
Not for me. Not for me.
All right, so Jimmy Johnson finishing 15th on Sunday, but doing what he had to do to claim the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship. Coming up next, we're going to look back at some of the key moments in Jimmy's championship season, from a kind of slow start to an amazing chase finish, that on the way. Also, history equal. Jimmy and Cale Yarborough now share the distinction of winning 3 consecutive titles. We'll have a little historical perspective for you. And later in the show, a salute to the Nationwide Series and Craftsman Truck Series champions, also crowned this weekend at Homestead. All that still to come on NASCAR Now.
Jimmy Johnson makes history.
Jimmy Johnson wins his 3rd consecutive NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship.
And the celebration is on. And 8 Sprint Cup champions. Repeat, baby. Ah! Woo! Way to go, guys. Awesome year, boys. How does it feel to be a part of history?
It's really impressive. I mean, those guys have done a great job. Chad and Jimmy working great together. Hendrick gives them what they need to be successful, and they take full advantage of it. And it's a hell of a tribute to what those guys 3 in a row. That's saying a lot. And they've done it. They've done it with class.
I definitely watched the way he developed, and him and Chad do a great job. So yeah, if my development can match his or just exceed it just a tick, that would be great.
Pretty impressive. I mean, they've done something that it's not likely anybody will do this again for another 20 or 30 years.
Well, until Sunday, only one man knew what it was like to win 3 consecutive NASCAR Sprint Cup championships. Now there are 2. Jimmy Johnson equaling the mark set by Cale Yarborough in 1976, 7, and 8. Hard to compare numbers from different eras. Suffice it to say, both were the best of their time. Jimmy didn't start 2008 in championship form, finishing outside the top 25 in 2 of the first 3 races. He was 14th in points after Vegas, but the team got the momentum back, scorching across the summer, winning 3 of the last 7 before the chase, including that brick-kissing performance in Indy. Jimmy took the point lead for good at Kansas by holding off the Carl Edwards final corner dive for the win. That put him out front to stay. In Atlanta, there was the remarkable rally from the early pit road speeding penalty and the late blast through the pack to second in the final laps. And a dominating win at Phoenix in the next to last race of the season expanded the gap over second place in points. Jimmy's 3rd straight win at that Phoenix track, by the way. And so it was on to Homestead and the season finale, and despite Carl Edwards winning, a fuel-conscious 15th place finish, clinching that 3rd straight championship for Jimmy. I want to kind of look back on your season overall. This new season, this season was different from last year because the new car was going to be used on the 1.5 and 2 mile tracks for the first time. You did pretty well with the new car on the other tracks it was used on in 2007. What was missing at the start of this season on those big tracks?
We were just working in the wrong areas. We spent a lot of time during the off season working in areas that we thought, where the speed was at. And that mindset and what we did was closer to the old car, closer to the thoughts and kind of theories that went into that. It just didn't work. And we found out at Las Vegas that, it was way off. I was telling you guys earlier today, I was loose coming through the front straightaway on that dog leg on the front stretch. So it just took us a while to sort it out, realize we had a problem, make a correction, and then work in the right areas.
Yeah, you called that your 3-step program?
3-step program.
Jimmy, why does it seem that the team seems to have the same trend every year? It's a second-half team. Whether it was the old car or now the new car, the trend has continued. What do you think the reason is to that?
I just think we, over the course of the year, we just continue to work on our stuff. And if you look at the races, long races we really perform well at. The longer the season and the later further in the season it goes, the better we do. There's just something to that and hitting our stride and getting in the rhythm of the car and the races that comes to us. Plus, they're good tracks. Those final 10 tracks are really good for us.
Jimmy, you said you're good in the long races. Something that I've noticed is that when most people can adjust, or you hear guys say, well, we're stuck with what we've got, you and Chad and that crew seem to make that car better and better and better and adjust to the track. Is that just communication between you and Chad? Is that testing?
I think communication's a big part of it, and then the other part of it is Chad can't sit still. He feels he can do, tweak something or play tire pressure versus track bar or track bar versus wedge. He just keeps tinkering with things, and it might be a half a pound of air pressure in a tire or inner liner change or something small, but he keeps tuning on things and does it at the start of the race. So at the end of the race, he has all the tools that he needs to give me a car that can race for a win.
Jimmy, what race was it this year where the switch went on and you said, oh, baby, we got it now. Now I feel like I'm on track?
I would say Chicago in my heart, because we went up, caught the 18 and passed him. But before that, I guess the first Texas race and also at Michigan, we really saw some speed in the car, and we knew it was coming, but I hadn't proved to myself that we were there yet until Chicago.
It's interesting because you mentioned that June Michigan race a couple times before, and which naturally prompted me to go back and look up your day. You finished 6th. It wasn't a race that you won, but you felt like that was a place where the momentum began to roll.
Yeah, we really saw some promise in the car. We led a lot of laps, and if I remember right, there was a fuel mileage thing that came into play. Yeah. But we were up front racing with the 17 all day long, and that's a great track for Matt and Roush in general. So we felt like we were at least on pace at that point. Maybe not a car that could dominate, but we found some speed and we're on pace.
Now, when we pick out key moments in the chase that were big for you, we all think of the Talladega big wreck where you missed it by that much.
Which one? There was like 3 or 4 of them.
The second one, the really big one. Yeah. What was that like from inside the car, and did you realize afterwards how important that narrow miss had become?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all knew how important a miss would be there, and if you didn't miss, what the implications could be. So I made it through there, and I couldn't believe that we didn't get caught up in the wreck. There's one little later after that that's even worse, and I was really animated on the radio to Chad after that. I don't care what we have to do. I'm riding around in the back and finishing this thing because I've been in the middle of 4 wrecks.
You know, that particular race right there we were watching earlier, you didn't avoid just one wreck in that particular accident. You had like 5 cars you were dodging. I couldn't believe it. You stop, you take back off, and one to dart across you. It felt like this crash went on for about a half an hour, and he missed every one of them. Yeah. That was amazing, man.
Harvick was the car in front of me. I was following through the wreck, and he was cleaned out. So I was just in the absolute right spot.
I remember you saying to Chad, look, I just got to sit for a minute because we've used up all of our luck today.
Yeah. I was afraid the horseshoe was going to fall out.
And he's wanting to go up there and win the race, and you're like, hey, I had enough, right?
Yeah, he's like, let's go win this thing. I'm like, no way, buddy. We've used up all our luck. It's over.
One of the neat things about this chase for the Sprint Cup that the impressions that I came away with was the manner in which you won the championship. And we discussed among ourselves, you changed the way people think about the chase. Instead of avoiding bad finishes, you're going after max points every race, and you did that. Was that a conscious, or is it just the way things unfolded?
You have to. I mean, if you look at Jeff's average last year and what it took to beat him for the championship, you look at what Carl was doing at the start of the season, Biffle comes out, at the start of the chase, Biffle comes out, wins 2. Burton's winning races, and his average is really high. It's what you had to do, and we were fortunate to not have a really bad race and lose a ton of points. But we had to perform, and you can't count on always running in the top 10 and just top 10 in people. You're going to have bad luck. You're going to have some finishes that don't go your way, so you need to get points when you can.
I was interested, Ray and I were comparing some numbers yesterday. Jimmy's average finish during the chase against Carl's average finish during the chase, and it was what? It was
Jimmy was 5.7 and Carl was
8.
About 8, right.
It was 8.
Wow.
So that was the difference. Those 2 races that Carl had in the chase where he had the bad finishes, the wreck at Talladega and the ignition problem at Charlotte, really were the difference in it, while you guys were both up there hammering out and winning races and running up front.
Yeah, they made us work for it. We had to go out and win races, and that, in my opinion, I look back at the chase and look at Phoenix for ourselves and say that was the moment where we really anchored in on this chase. And we had a bad race at Texas, came in, delivered at Phoenix, and were able to go to Homestead.
Your bad race was 15th.
15. And we're mad about that. We should have been better.
So the guys are sitting there right now thinking, if we're going to beat Jimmy Johnson next year, we have to average better than 5th place over 10 races.
Is there any one
and get
thing,
bonus points.
And bonus points, yeah.
Any one thing that you can think of the last 3 years, these last 3 championships that you've said, you know what, I personally can do this, And it makes me feel better, whether it's your ritual before the race or what you eat or how you exercise, that you know that I'm making a difference, and this is definitely making my car run better, more consistent.
I think there's a lot that leads to it. I mean, training, eating right, you know, family life, stability at home, all of those things all add up to how you're mentally prepared to go to the racetrack. And I feel that I'm very strong in all those areas. My wife is extremely supporting and takes great care of me. I have nothing to worry about at the race shop. I trust everyone that's there, and we all know our positions. Training side helps. And I've been able just to get inside my own head and be as strong as I can and really as patient and as consistent as I can be for my guys and for that race car.
Up next, we're going to put Jimmy's 3 straight championships into a little historical perspective. We'll hear some high praise from Cale Yarborough himself about Jimmie Johnson when the NASCAR Now Monday Roundtable returns.
Lowe's congratulates Jimmie Johnson on his 3rd consecutive NASCAR Sprint Cup championship.
The final margin for Jimmie Johnson over Carl Edwards was 69 points. Edwards was the only driver within 200 points of Jimmie. Some positions shuffled around on the final day. Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer climbing past their Childress Racing teammate Jeff Burton, and Tony Stewart leaping up 3 spots to 9th in the final standings. So let's talk about the historical side of what Jimmie Johnson and his team accomplished Sunday, winning 3 consecutive championships. You've heard it many times in the last weeks and months, equaling the feat achieved only by Cale Yarborough back in 1976, 7, and 8. Sunday morning on NASCAR Now, I asked Cale for his views on Jimmie Johnson as a racer.
I've watched Jimmie a long time. When he first started coming on the scene, I watched him, and I saw that he had the kind of determination, and I saw a little bit of me in Jimmie early on, and I think that's the reason I watched him so much. And he's the kind of guy that you know, if the race starts and things aren't exactly right, and he never gives up. He works, and his team work all day long trying to make that thing better and trying to get to the front, and that's the way we did it.
To me, from him, that's pretty high praise.
That's awesome. That means a lot to me. So funny, you guys probably have heard the story where I was racing motorcycles as a kid, traveling to one of the races back east, and pull up to a Hardee's, and I expect to see Cale in there because he was the guy I rooted for. And I went in and got a burger and fries and no Cale. So
I was at Lowe's the other day and you weren't there.
Imagine that.
Rusty Ray, you're each champions. How do you describe what this driver and his team are doing to the competition right now?
Well, as I said, it's incredible. It is a very, very competitive environment right now. So certainly I've got the utmost respect for what they've accomplished. But I think the thing that I'm enjoying most is it's great to get individual achievements, but these guys seem to enjoy it more as a team. It seems better for them when I watch them you just play off of one another. And I think that's something that we haven't seen in a while.
I'm just real happy for him because I know how hard it is to do this time after time. I only was able to do it one time, and I thought I could do it again real easy. The second time it didn't happen, but for Jimmie to do it 3 times in a row and to be so focused, and that question I just asked him was a little while ago was key. I mean, what are you doing personally to be so switched on week after week and focus so much? And he's doing it repetitively, and he's doing a fantastic job of it. And this competition is so tough, and there's so many cars. Look, it was very, very tough when Cale did it, no doubt about that. But in this age, man, it's tougher. And so I'm real proud of this team for their focus.
Jimmy,
give me a big head here.
Yeah,
thank you.
You've earned it, so enjoy it. What do each of the following people do to put you in the position that you're in now? First, Rick Hendrick.
It's the same thing. I mean, he's a great leader, and he has been able to, assemble this team and the people and manage this circus that we have in motorsports. I mean, as you guys know, living it every day, there's a lot to manage, and he's a great people person, and continues to put the right people together.
All right. If you're going to ask about Rick, what about Jeff? Has Jeff's experience and the fact that he's been through the championship battle, has that helped you at all?
Absolutely. Jeff, he'll say things and doesn't realize what I pull out of it, and also how he drives and how he carries himself. He's a great leader by example, and he has helped mold me and kind of show me the way to interact at Hendrick, to interact within our sport, how to treat your guys. I came in and the template of the 48 car was built, everything was built off the 24 team, and he really showed me the way, and he doesn't take a lot of credit for it because he's a humble guy, but he is really a large part of what's gone on.
And so let's talk from there. We've got your two team owners, Rick Hendrick and Jeff Gordon, covered. Your crew chief, Chad Knaus. What does he do to put you in position to have achieved what you've done?
He's just Chad. He just does his thing, and it's a great thing. And Chad has grown so much in his role as a crew chief, and I could not be more proud of anyone. And he is a great friend, and I just only want to drive his race cars, and that's the way I want to finish up.
So you're really good friends with him, and obviously it's working on the racetrack. But is he the type of guy that throughout the week you're going to dinner with and hanging out and going everywhere together with? Are the schedules just too busy to do stuff like that?
The schedules are too busy, and we certainly try to get together and have fun from time to time, but I'll invite him to a lot of things, and he keeps saying, no, man, I've got a job. You're just a driver. You get to hang out.
He'll turn you down, right?
Oh, yeah, and he'll beat me up over it. Man, I want your job, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah.
You better be careful. He said that to me once.
No, he did.
That's true.
Hey, talk about Mr. Hendrick. What's it make you feel like when you see a fellow like that that's went through so many tough things in his life, and you've won 3 championships, and look at him in the face and see him so happy? I mean, there's a lot of times in life I get more excited about seeing other people really happy. I might have done something really big, but when I see them happy, it really turns me on, And to see that guy smiling so much, is it really?
It does.
Make you feel good.
It makes me feel so good, and as I said earlier, Rick is such a people person, and he has such a relationship with everyone at Hendrick Motorsports and throughout his automotive group. You want to do good for him, and it's a special place, and I love putting that smile on his face.
So before you even really get going celebrating your 3rd consecutive title, the questions start coming. I'm sure there were plenty in the press conferences last night about a 4th. Based on your experiences, all of your experiences, what are the things that Jimmy and Chad and this team have to be on guard for that could keep them from winning a 4th? Start with you.
I've just got to say, probably crashes and parts failures. I mean, we just talked about how he's so perfect year after year, avoiding the wrecks and doing the right things coming down pit road, not, dropping off the jack accidentally because you slipped the clutch and got the car moving, or making driver mistakes. Jimmy's been good there. I guess the thing that concerns him or me would be the things that he can't control. Somebody crashing in front of him, or the motor blowing up, or something like that, or Carl Edwards.
Or somebody stealing that cape. Are you going to show us the cape? We've heard a lot about cape from this guy. Just keeping that core group together, the thing that you guys have been so successful at, making sure you keep your core group together and you keep that continuous improvement. It amazes me, the old car, half old car, half new car, the all new car, continuous improvement on that 48 team, attacking problems and keeping that core group together, to me, is going to be a big challenge.
Absolutely.
What do you think? What are the key things you would caution yourself about to keep this going again?
Truthfully, I don't want to think. I just want to go. I mean, here's the way I look at it. The more we think about things, the more we give ourselves an opportunity to mess up. Let's just keep it simple and just keep doing what we're doing. And I mean, it's someday the ride will be over and it's time to get off. But until then, we're going to ride this wave as long as we can.
There you go. Up next on NASCAR Now, Jimmy shows us the Superman cape. And barring that, we'll look at the seasons of some of his competitors and look ahead a little bit to 2009 on the NASCAR Now Monday Roundtable. Monday Night Football tonight on ESPN. The Buffalo Bills and quarterback Trent Edwards take on Brady Quinn and the Cleveland Browns. Coverage starting at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown tonight.
It's a track that he has dreamed of winning time and time again. He won here in 2005. And once again, Tony Stewart will come down here in 2007 and take the win.
Sunday marked the end of Tony Stewart's tenure as driver of the Home Depot car for Joe Gibbs Racing. What a decade it was. Tony, crew chief Greg Zipadelli, and the Gibbs team won 33 races, including 2 huge for Tony wins at Indy and a pair of championships. By the way, Tony, the only driver to have won championships under the new and quote-unquote old formats. Jimmy, you didn't see this, but we in the TV audience did. Tony really emotional, saying goodbye to all of his crew members on the grid just before the start of the race. It was a pretty cool moment.
It was a great moment. I spoke to him before the race, and then he called me today to congratulate me, and He has a big heart for those guys and spent a lot of time with them and really respects them, and we all wish him the best on his new deal.
And I know, Rusty Ray, we watched Tony driving in the race, and you could just see the way the night was unfolding, how badly he wanted to win that final race for the Gibbs team.
Well, he did. You don't spend 10 years in living on the road with people day in, day out. You know, it's like a big family. And even though, you know, there comes a time when people part and all things end, when you move on, it's like leaving a family. And you could sense that in Tony. And the way he was driving that car, he really did want to win that race.
Our conversation for the next couple of minutes kind of centering on things that came to an end at Homestead and looking ahead at 2009 a little bit. Tony's got a lot of work ahead of him.
He does have a lot of work ahead of him, but he's getting a lot of assistance from Jimmy Johnson's race team. Mr. Hendrick is providing engines and technical assistance. And Jimmy, do you think he's going to be able to use that to his advantage like you have, or is it going to be a tough thing for him?
Well, I hope so. Those guys, they're great partners with Hendrick Motorsports, and that relationship is there for a reason, so that they can go out and do the best that they can. And I feel with their driver lineup and their personnel lineup that they're going to be in great shape.
Somebody else to look at who was a strong competitor for you this year, but it just didn't work out for in the chase. Kyle Busch, 8 wins, but he finished 10th in points. Wow. He had a heck of a year going until the chase.
He has all the tools. He just has to figure out how to use them week in and week out. That team is amazing. The pairing with Steve and with Kyle, those guys set the world on fire at the start of the year. They can really put it on us if they want it.
And as far as next year for Kyle, they've just got to figure out how to peak. Weren't we talking about Jimmy always peaking at the right time?
Yeah.
Got to figure out how to peak at the right time.
Well, like Jimmy said, it takes tools and it takes time. And you know, maybe that experience that Hendrick Motorsports has, Gibbs Racing is getting, you know, hopefully they didn't lose too much of that experience when they lost Tony.
Yeah. Next driver, Jeff Gordon. Winless 08. Where was it just not there for Jeff this year?
You know, points of the season, they were the best car on track in carrying the banner for Hendrick Motorsports. Caught up in some wrecks, had some different things go on, and then in other parts of the year just didn't have the speed in the car and trying to sort this car out. So I know it's tough on Jeff to not win, first winless year that he has had, and he and Stevie are hungry and really ready to get back going again and try to get a trophy.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. became one of Jimmy's teammates this year. How did he turn out to be different than what you might have expected as you got to know him?
I didn't realize how focused he was on driving a race car. I mean, from our first meeting that we had with these guys, debrief that we had, I couldn't believe the fuel he had in the car and how bad he wanted to win races and fight for a championship. And it all makes sense because, I mean, he left, you know, home essentially. Yeah. And it was crystal clear when we walked into that transport at the first test. He wanted to win races.
And now you look forward to another new teammate joining up with Jimmy and Jeff next year, and that's Mark Martin. Rusty, a guy you know well.
Yeah, I really do. He's a great competitor, really is a great guy when it comes to the chassis of the car, a real thinker. I got to think that this combination with Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, and Dale Jr. is going to be a real good one. They all respect Mark a lot, and I would think that Jimmy and Jeff and the rest of them are going to be looking to tap into some of his knowledge, you know, about the car and how the track changes and stuff like that.
I'd love to get in his car and drive it someday, but there's no way I can get my butt in his seat. It's a seat that's like this wide.
If Mark is going to be on your team, he'll probably get in yours and drive it. Yeah. He drove Jeff's one time when he was driving for Ford, so
he'll find a way.
Probably Rick and Jack are still mad at us over that, but that's the whole story.
Yeah, when he was driving for Ford, that came by kind of quick in that story.
It'll be in the book.
Yeah, I bet it will be. Up next, testing limits for next season and change the chase. We'll discuss both on the NASCAR Now Monday Roundtable.
Beginning January 1st of '09, NASCAR is suspending testing in our 3 national series as well as the Camping World Grand National East and West divisions of NASCAR.
NASCAR President Mike Helton announcing on Friday that in an effort to try and save teams money in these trying times, testing will be banned at NASCAR sanctioned tracks that hold races for the top 3 National Touring Series as well as the Camping World East and West Series. The ban to go into effect January 1st, 2009. First, your reactions?
They've got to do something. I mean, to sit there and think there's nothing wrong with this country and the economy's just fine and NASCAR, we can spend all the money we're spending to get through it, we won't be affected. No way you can do that. So they got to do something. And the first thing they thought about, let's stop something we can control real quickly, and that's testing. And there's a lot of negatives and a lot of positives with that statement.
Your reaction?
I don't disagree with Rusty's statement, but I still think we need an opportunity to work on our race cars. If it's getting data on the cars and practicing with data on the cars on Friday, opening up a few test dates, we need a chance to work on our cars.
Well, I kind of agree with both of them. I think that NASCAR has taken a step and said, look, we know that there's a problem. We need to cut the cost. We also know that this is a work in progress. Maybe it's not the right way to go about it, and they'll have to adjust. And I think they know that. They don't have all the rules set yet. So the data on Friday, I know people are talking about. But in the end, what they're saying is, hey, look, we're going to take the first step at trying to help these guys cut cost, and let's just everybody work together and figure it out.
And there probably will be a lot more information going down the road, as Mike Helton said, on Friday. Now, Jimmy Johnson wins a third consecutive championship, so naturally everybody says, change the rules. Should the chase rules be changed?
No, I love the chase rules. They can change the chase rules all they want, and this guy is still going to be at the top of the heap. Him, Carl Edwards, cats like that. I mean, there's no reason doing that. I guess the only thing I don't like about the chase, I never have liked this top 12 thing. I like the ring of top 10, man. A top 10 sounds cool to me. Top 12, where'd that come from?
Look, it's in the numbers. Any way you want to figure it out. This guy kicked everybody's butt. You look at his average finish, wins, you can do whatever it is. You know, changing the chase is not going to do it. The only way they're going to do it is when they came in. Remember when they had the board all mixed up and it looked like everybody had changed car numbers on our board here and we were kidding around. I said, there you go. That's the only way they're going to stop and just make these guys swap cars.
Have an opinion you want to offer?
No, I don't. I agree because it's crazy. It's like, let's just have fan voting and figure it all out from there. So it's just crazy. I mean, you have to go out and earn your spots, and the rules are the rules, and I'm going to stop there.
Not every Super Bowl is won by a last-second field goal. Not every World Series game by a walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth, a Game 7. Sometimes somebody just goes out and whips up on the competition. Leave the rules alone, my opinion. Up next on the NASCAR Now Monday Roundtable, the NASCAR Nationwide and NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champions were crowned in Miami. We salute Johnny Benson and Clint Boyer for their accomplishments after this. College basketball's tip-off marathon begins Monday at midnight on ESPN as the UMass Minutemen take on the Memphis Tigers. Then Tuesday at 9 Eastern, it's Kentucky taking on top-ranked North Carolina. All part of the College Hoops tip-off marathon on the ESPN family of networks.
News and notes brought to you by Can-Am ATV.
Congratulations to Regan Smith, who won the Ray Bestis Rookie of the Year award in the Sprint Cup Series. The New York native, congrats for that. Chevrolet won their 6th consecutive Manufacturers Championship, thanks to Jimmy Johnson for that. And for the first time since 1974, 3 drivers who won 7 or more races in a season, Jimmy, Carl Edwards, and Kyle Busch, doing what 3 guys named Petty, Yarborough, and Pearson last did 24 years ago.
One truck separates Johnny Benson and Ron Hornaday. Coming out of turn number 4, it's going to be Todd Bodine winning the race, and Johnny Benson will win the championship.
Edwards will win the race, and the 2008 NASCAR Nationwide Series champion is Clint Boyer.
Congratulations, Clint Boyer.
Carl Edwards gets his 9th win of the year, and Jimmy Johnson makes history as a 3-time consecutive NASCAR Sprint Cup champion.
And as part of our wrap-up of the 2008 NASCAR season, we salute those drivers for winning NASCAR Regional Touring Series championships this year. Old Teddy Christopher, a longtime standout on the Northern Modified Circuit. Matt Kovaluk and Eric Holmes winning the Camping World East and West Series, respectively. Congratulations to all. Clint Boyer won the NASCAR Nationwide Series championship on Saturday down at Homestead, edging Carl Edwards by 21 points. What a great fight those 2 teams put up right down to the end.
They really did. Again, Carl helped us a bunch by making the chase a chase and along with the Nationwide Championship. But Richard Childress provides some great cars for those guys to drive.
And a tip of the cap to Joe Gibbs Racing for winning the Owners Championship in the Nationwide Series. How about the trucks, Rusty? That Friday night finale, Johnny Benson edging Ron Hornaday by 7 points.
Oh, what is that, 1 or 2 positions? I mean, you run all year long, you get a ton of points, and it comes down to 1 finishing position. Man, it's just crazy. That truck series is so competitive, it's unreal. And congratulations, Johnny Benson. I know he wanted it bad. He did a great job, along with Hornaday and the rest of those guys.
I know you were wrapped up in your own championship, but both of those were pretty exciting, too.
Man, I was watching everything on TV. I really, really enjoyed both battles.
It was cool. Our quick salute to the NASCAR Regional Touring Series and the Nationwide and Craftsman Truck Series champs when we come back. Final thoughts on the 2008 NASCAR season. All right, back for the final moments of our final show of this 2008 season with the champion Jimmie Johnson. Rusty, got a final thought about the year?
I do. I mean, it was a great year. There's no doubt about that. A lot of cool champions, a lot of good hot rods out there, ran real good. But there's one race that stands out in my mind where it made me go, wow, I can't believe this is happening. And that was at Montreal.
Yeah.
When those guys dropped the green flag for that race, it's pouring down raining. Here comes a whole field flying by. There's rooster tails 50 foot in the sky. And I went, they're going to start this race in the rain. The first time ever NASCAR has raced in the rain. And it worked out. They proved they could do it if somebody wants to do it.
And for me, it was the battle between Jimmie and Carl. Two grassroots racers, two guys that are not silver spoon children, worked their way up from the short tracks around America, had a great championship fight battle, and came right down to the end. Jimmie, you're a class act. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And you're just getting started, even though you're just finished competing for the season, just getting started on what will be a busy couple of weeks for you, leading up to the ceremony in New York, and where you get to put one of those rings on your finger one more time. Congratulations on a great year. I hope you get the chance to relax a little.
Thank you. Yes, we well, now that there isn't a testing policy, January is going to be pretty laid back, it looks like. So
you haven't talked to Chad yet, have you?
No, I haven't. I felt something when I was saying that. I know we're going to be somewhere testing and working, so I guess I should expect that.
Well, you're going to be in New York all day tomorrow doing PR.
Yep,
tomorrow. And the way I got it figured, 2 hours you can be in bed in New York City.
Oh, I can't wait. Good 8 or 10 hours of sleep, I'll be a happy man.
Jimmie, congratulations on a great year, and thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us on the show, and thanks for making it a memorable season. We appreciate it.
Thank you, and thanks for all that you guys have done all year long for us.
All right, so Jimmie Johnson, the three-time now consecutive NASCAR Sprint Cup Series champion, to formally receive his awards in a couple of weeks in New York City. He'll be plenty busy between now and then. And then the next time you'll see us is Daytona in February. Believe it or not, it's not all that far away. I want to thank all the hardworking men and women who work on our NASCAR programs all year long for everything they do. I want to thank you for watching. And now I want to take a look back on some of the great moments of the 2008 NASCAR season. So many sights and sounds to relive. Thanks for watching NASCAR on ESPN 2008. We'll see you at Daytona about 90 days from now.
All 43 of these teams, when they walk through that garage area today, they believe that they can win the Daytona 500, and so do these 43 drivers. But in the end, only one win. 2, 3, win!
It's the hard knocks, it's the long shots, it's believing in yourself when you're all you got. You don't turn back, don't give in.
A long, dry spell for this driver. He will win the 50th Daytona 500.
I'll be the last man standing.
Bringing his Ford Fusion across the stripe, Carl Edwards gets the victory.
Well, I miss my mama and all of my friends in that tiny.
The 18 is back in Atlanta. Good job, boys.
It may be his last ride. I promise you right now, he won't be afraid to get up and mix it up.
Congratulations, boss. You just won for us. Good job, yeah!
It's the hard knocks, it's the long shots.
I have never seen anything like that in my life.
And he walked away and waved to the crowd.
Rising up to be the last man standing.
Kyle Busch wins the Dodge Challenger 500. Kid's awesome. Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs Racing tame the Monster Mile.
Checkered flag in the air for Kyle Busch. He wins at Sonoma. His 7th win of the season.
He had to use both hands to count up all the wins.
8 wins on the season.
There comes a time in all our lives when your back's to the wall and it's...
Oh, he turned it! No!
Oh, he turned it!
No!
My heart's been broke, my pride's been stripped every time.
Yeah, baby! Way to go, Tom Jr.
Voice inside me saying, it's the hard knocks, it's the long shots.
Hey, low, go low, go low. Come on, keep digging, all clear.
Don't turn back.
They keep talking about rivalries. We might have one now.
Two-time NASCAR Sprint Cup champion Jimmy Johnson becomes a two-time winner at the Brickyard.
Great work, boys. That's the way we roll.
Jimmy Johnson comes out and wins it at Richmond.
Junior to the lead. There goes Gordon on the inside.
Burton wins at Charlotte.
You are the man, baby.
Carl Edwards dominates.
We are in the presence of greatness.
Hamlin retakes the lead. Kens it to the inside.
Tony Stewart has won.
He wins in Richmond.
Evan Harvick could be the man to beat.
Bethel wins it.
Bullseye move to the bottom of the racetrack.
Jimmy Johnson is going to win today.
Oh, got trouble in front.
Come on, come on, come on.
This is definitely the big one.
That's what you call points race. Get them all.
Jimmy Johnson wins for the 7th time this year.
I tell you lately, you are the man.
Jimmy Johnson makes history.
2008 Sprint Cup champion. Repeat, baby.